Hello there and welcome to another episode of the Long Live Rock and Roll podcast. This episode you're about to hear is the second part of the discussion that myself, Felipe and Daria had where we counted our top 5 rock vocalists. Part 1, which was released 2 weeks ago, counted the vocalists from number 5 to number 3, and this second part concludes our discussions counting vocalists 2 to 1. Enjoy! So now we move on to the top 2 singers. So Dash, would you like to give us your second favourite rock vocalist?
Exciting. Miles Kennedy of Alter Bridge. And recently Slash.
Yeah.
And
the Conspirators.
The Conspirators, yeah. Miles is just...
Miles. We all just took a breath because we were just like, Miles Kennedy.
I just love this guy.
Good-looking fella as well.
Yes, yeah.
He's brilliant.
Why do you like him so much, Dash?
Because he's a good-looking fella.
Yeah.
He's got this... It's, you know what? He doesn't have any distortion in his voice. He has this clean, crisp tone.
Yeah.
And he's a rock singer. So that just says that, you don't have to distort to be a rock singer, by the way. Because, that's a big deal for people. Oh, you're not a rock singer if you can't distort. No, look at Miles Kennedy. Brilliant, clean vocal.
Yeah.
Sings with Slash.
And he's rock and
He
roll.
says it all.
Yeah, and he can sing the Axl Rose material with his own voice.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll be honest, it doesn't sound bad. And also, isn't it rock and roll to be allowed to do whatever you want to do? So I don't want to distort, and I'm a rock singer. Actually, it's a bigger challenge, isn't it? Because he's not going for the cliche. He's going for something...
No. And he's got, again, years of vocal training with the same Ron Anderson that trained M Shadows, Avenged Sevenfold. And you can hear it in his voice. And if you listen to Alter Bridge, like early albums from 2008, and now... you can hear a difference.
Yeah.
Although he was already very good, obviously, back then. But you can hear more control, more stamina, and just overall, his tone, I think, has improved as well. I think when I heard Alter Bridge first, and I heard the kind of notes that he hits, and it's just mind-blowing. It's just completely mind-blowing.
I think with Miles Kennedy, what's impressed me most is that you alluded to it, is that he's currently touring with Slash, and he's taken those Guns N' Roses songs, and what he hasn't done is cover them. No. What he has done is made them his own for that 5 minutes.
Without making it like ridiculously different from the original. It's just
what I mean is that his voice is the only changing factor. The band play Sweet Child of Mine exactly how Guns N' Roses do. The only thing that's changed is the vocal performance and the vocal tone, if you like. And I think it's different enough, but unique enough and special enough to give the fans like me the reason to say, well, he's owned that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, see, he's singing with Slash, performing some stuff he wrote with Slash and some of the other stuff, and Guns N' Roses stuff. The way the fact that he's playing different bands, right? He's got his own solo stuff as well, doesn't he?
He's got solo stuff, he's got Alter Bridge, playing with Slash.
Yeah, like 3 different projects. They do not sound the same at all.
No, that's a very good point.
You make your voice fit.
But that's interesting because his voice is very unique, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you say? Whereas we've said that Corey Taylor can do the singing and the screaming on different ends, Miles Kennedy's much more in one kind of singing zone. Would you agree to an extent?
No.
Why not?
No, why? Because I don't think you...
We've got an argument here.
All due respect.
Rock and roll debate.
You probably haven't heard how he can sing really low as well. And then hit all this crazy high notes. He's got massive range.
But what I'm saying...
bigger than Corey.
No, but I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if you were to play the heaviest Slipknot song and the lightest Slipknot song to a random person, they might say 2 different singers.
I know, I get you.
Whereas Miles Kennedy, even if he sings low and high, I think you can always tell it's Miles.
Yeah.
And what I mean with regards to that, with regards to what you said, is that it's fascinating that he's got 3 projects, all within the same kind of genre, hard rock, classic rock kind of vibes. Yeah. His voice is still the Miles Kennedy voice, yet, as you said, those projects executing different kinds of music.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I think he's just got so much within his voice that I argue is limited only in, I don't want to say anything bad about it. In style. Right. He's executed 3 different bands with 3 different sounds. And I think that's a credit to him.
What a pro he is.
Bloody pro he is, Miles.
Yeah.
Dash, your 3 or any of your favourite Miles Kennedy tracks?
There's too many to choose from. Right, let's.
Can we just add, whilst Dash chooses a track, Miles Kennedy is a phenomenal guitar player.
Oh, yeah.
He plays, we forgot that. He plays rhythm guitar for one of the most technical alternative metal bands around called Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
Alter Bridge, oh no, I've forgotten his name. The guitarist. Oh, I know this. Anyway.
Tremonti.
Well done. I was forgotten that. Mark Tremonti of Alter Bridge. He's the soloist. He's the one who does all the fast ones. But Miles Kennedy's up there. Miles Kennedy can hold the rhythm down and solo fantastically. So yeah, just know that he's a brilliant singer and a guitarist.
And I just want to point out to the fact that we forget stuff. You didn't remember that. I didn't remember the name of the song. As long
Shit
as I can see the light.
Shit happens.
This is reality show, right? This is proper.
Screw the Kardashians. Come here, yeah.
So exactly,
babe, your few Kennedy songs.
So actually, my viewers and my YouTube channel, because I reacted to one of the songs, that they did actually with Mark Tremonti, because he sings as well. Mark Tremonti sings as well. They did Words Darker Than Their Wings, and it's a live version from, I think it was Royal Albert Hall.
Is there a version on Spotify?
Back. I think there will be, but even
we'll try and find
live at the Royal Albert Hall, I'm seeing it right now. Oh my word, he hits like absolutely insane notes there. Okay, and that's the one that I would definitely recommend listening to. And also, I quite like the album The Last Hero. I quite like that one, and
a song from that album for the playlist.
I love The Writing on the Wall. That's a brilliant song. And I also really love Walk the Sky, the latest album, 2019. Wouldn't You Rather?
Is that a song from the album?
Yeah, it is.
It's not a question, it's a song.
Yes, I would rather a song, please. Excellent, that's Miles Kennedy. Felipe, your second favourite top rock vocalist?
I think you're going to agree with me. This guy is really fucking good. Ian Gillan, Deep Purple.
Nice.
He's got a solo career as well. It's really good. He did sing for Black Sabbath for one album called Born Again.
And Ian...
which is definitely not their best.
And Ian was once Jesus.
Yes. He was Jesus.
He played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, again...
brilliant.
We tend to think that those people, they just were born with some sort of special inspiration and stuff. He was a proper trained singer, singing musical shows and stuff like that, theatre. But he always wanted to be a guy in a band with his own character, his own personality. Yeah. So he said he didn't think twice when he got the chance to join Deep Purple. He said, I can always go back to the theatre if it doesn't, if I don't make it as a rock singer. So he went for it, and I mean, what a singer he is, because he brought all that classical, theatrical stuff to rock. And I saw him live 3 times with Deep Purple, the first one being 1999, back in Brazil. And it's like, he blew my mind, because again, everyone comes to see them as a rock band. There's shitloads of guitar solos, keyboard solos, drum solos, bass solos, whatever. The songs last for 20 minutes. And so basically, he doesn't work for half of the gig, right? So the band is doing all that stuff. But when he sings, he seems to enjoy it so much. Yeah. It's like he seems to be having the time of his life in every single gig until nowadays. As such a character, really funny on stage, does all the jokes. And he can sing something like Child in Time, which... yeah. If you want to know how good the guy is, listen to Child in Time. Put down the list.
The Made in Japan version.
Made in Japan, the live, because then you prove you can do it live. You can do that song in studio, doing chunks of it. Yeah. He does it live, and he keeps reaching a higher than that. He's not going to go higher than that, is it? Yeah. And then next one higher and higher and higher, just screaming. But it's so clean, and it's one of those songs. You're just holding that high note. And if you don't hit the right note, that's it. Yeah. That's the end of the song.
For 2 bars, that's it.
Exactly. You just need to have total control to breathe properly, to sing. And it's that song is kind of a show-off song for him. It's like, look what I can do as a singer. It still makes sense with the context of the lyrics, it's about war and stuff. But it's just It's insane. But on the other hand, if you listen to ballads like When a Blind Man Cries, it's one of my favorite songs ever, of all songs of all time, because of his vocal performance.
There's a song that Deep Purple do called Anyone's Daughter, which I think is from the Fireball album, maybe.
One, isn't it?
It's kind of, but he has this kind of comedic way of phrasing his lines, and that comes back to the Jesus Christ thing. He's a performer. He's a theatrical, a thespian, an actor, a musical theatre performer to an extent, because he's a Jesus Christ superstar, as well as a hard rock vocalist.
Also, most of their lyrics are just silly, and he mentioned that once. He said, people criticize us for not writing anything serious, so I wrote the song called Back in 69, which is about a interesting sex position. So basically, he's always joking about everything. He did a show for BBC and he couldn't swear, so he said the most nasty things you can possibly imagine in a poetic way.
Right.
I can't even remember the exact words, but he was saying stuff. You would laugh throughout the whole gig because he was saying things you can't say on BBC, but in a Shakespearean way. Brilliant. So really clever guy, big brain. Really clever guy.
It seems to me, out of all the vocalists we've spoken about today, maybe with the exception of Corey Taylor, it feels like when I listen to him, Ian Gillan seems like the most untrained one. And that's not in any way a detriment to his vocals. I'm not saying he's the worst one out of all we've chosen. In fact, I actually love Ian Gillan. It feels like he has a lot more freedom within his voice to do different things on stage than the others. We've talked about the vocal accuracy of Miles Kennedy and Greg Lake's beautiful timbre, but I've heard Ian Gillan sing so much stuff, and it hasn't always been perfect. And that doesn't mean he's got it wrong. It means that he's going with the flow of the song.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels to me that he is a much more of a feeling singer. Let's do what the song requires in this moment, not when we do this live in 2 weeks, I'm going to sing it exactly like this.
Maybe it's almost like a blues singer who happens to have theatre training.
I was just going to say about the blues. Because what did we listen to the other day in the car?
Deep Purple, Machine Head.
We did listen to Machine Head, and you can definitely hear all these blues influences in his voice, and I think he's because of the blues influences. And what your point was about him not seeming like he's the most trained one is because the blues influences bring out more kind of a conversational style of singing.
That's a great point.
So this is why it seems like it, but that's the beauty of it though. This is why it sounds like he's just free with whatever he wants to do with his phrasing and stuff.
Excellent, Felipe, some Deep Purple recommendations?
Child in Time to blow your mind if you're not familiar with him. And I would go for Lazy. Great vocal performance. Highway Star. And 2 ballads on top of that, so you can hear his interpretation of ballads. When a Blind Man Cries, and Sometimes I Feel Like Screaming.
Okay, so brilliant. Nice. Excellent. So on to my second favourite vocalist. And there's actually, we just chatted a bit about this before the show, and I forgot to include someone, so I've shuffled about to include this person. Number 2 for me, Ronnie James Dio of Rainbow, Dio, and Black Sabbath.
Brilliant.
What I love most about Dio is the song Stargazer by Rainbow on the Rising album, which we'll put in the playlist. That's what I love most about Dio. What I love second most about Dio is how he came into Black Sabbath with a completely different voice, a completely different sounding vocal to Ozzy Osbourne, and kept the integrity, power, heaviness, and attitude of Black Sabbath, kept it going. That did not change. What do you think?
That is,
I just love he's so powerful. His voice is just...
It's operatic.
Yeah,
to me.
I love it. I absolutely... And he's got such bright tone. but it works so well in a heavy environment. This is I actually really like that when you've got bright tone of a vocalist and kind of heavier music, heavy guitars, you know, or like crazy solos, and it just works. It blends so well, but it stands out as well. And when I heard Stargazer for the first time,
it's incredible, isn't it?
My word, it just blew me away.
I've seen a video of him recording with Jack Black, Tenacious D, and it's just impressive because he came, he took it so seriously. Again, what a pro! He came to the studio to record those songs. It's just people having a laugh, isn't it? They're all cliche rock songs made as a joke, intended to be a joke.
Yeah,
a pastiche of rock and roll, and he came to record them, and the sound engineer press record, and he does one perfect take. And Jack Black says, wow, that's it. And the sound engineer says, yeah, I'm glad that I recorded that one. That's it, you don't need to do another one. It was just a warm-up.
Yeah.
And he nailed it.
Wow.
And it's just like, it's how committed he was with his singing. Also, I know him from Black Sabbath, and the first album I've listened to with him was Heaven and Hell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a completely different band with him on vocals.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that when people say, oh, but yeah, he's got much more technique than Ozzy. Obviously, he would do a good job. Well, no one, and I mean no one, can replace Ozzy Osbourne. Mm-hmm. So that character, that specific voice, the way he performed with Sabbath. So I think that's one of the most difficult jobs in the world. You step into a band like Sabbath on the top of their game.
Yeah.
And you just need to replace a guy who doesn't sound like you at all and whom everyone loved.
So do you agree with my comment when I said about Dio that he's come in and he's been able to keep everything we love except from the literal sound of Black Sabbath?
He changed the sound of Sabbath, but he kept the rock and rollness to the highest level.
So if Sabbath were rising through the 70s, when Dio came, they didn't drop. We're all in agreement that they kept on going.
The job, he had a very specific job. It's like, you need to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do with a band like them.
Exactly.
And they're all friends from Birmingham. And he was just an outsider, right?
Yeah.
Just a guy they met professionally and invited to the band. And he did such a great job. So I'm going to recommend a few songs.
Yeah.
Neon Nights from Heaven and Hell.
Heaven and Hell.
Heaven and Hell. Yeah. And there's an album called Live Evil, the first live album with him, or maybe the only. War Pigs from that album.
Oh, I've never heard him do that. Is it good? Brilliant. I'm going to add in Holy Diver, Stargazer's already in there, and one more from Rainbow called A Light in the Black. We're on to the number ones now, guys. So, here it is. The moment.
Dash's number one. Roll the drums.
You're the drummer. You do it.
I don't have drumsticks
I'll
here.
do it. Dash is number one rock vocalist.
Roll the sofa.
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell. Wow.
I love Chris Cornell. This guy, I think he was just one of a kind.
Of Soundgarden, by the way.
Of Soundgarden, of Audio Slave, of Temple of the Dog, of quite a few.
What a now Temple of the Dog. Yeah. That is amazing. God, I've listened to that.
He's done so much stuff musically.
Yeah.
And he left. I mean, I'm just so sad he's not around anymore, to be honest. I am very sad about that because he was one of a kind. I think his voice was just so unique, so raw. His screams, I just love it. And he had also had extensive vocal training, actually.
From Ron Anderson as well.
And it doesn't seem like it, does it? Like, he doesn't seem like a guy who would go and get...
He's a rock and roller.
It seems like Ron Anderson should be top of all our lists. he's done this.
I know.
He contributed.
Chris's vocals. I mean, we've recently got into Soundgarden, you and me. I have a really sad story, which is that I saw Soundgarden at Download 2012 or 13. I didn't know who they were. And I watched this band and I was like, oh yeah, this is good. He's wicked. And I never did anything more after that until about 6 months ago where me and Dash got into Soundgarden and started listening to them intensely. My goodness, I mean, what a voice.
I know. I knew him from Audio Slave before.
Yeah.
Like, because I listened to Audio Slave a little bit. I had students who wanted to sing a bit of Audio Slave, so I was like, right, okay, let's Let's study it.
Yeah.
And then we just go into Soundgarden and Bad Motorfinger album. I love every single track. I have a CD in my car and I listen to it all the time and have no shame about that, okay? He had such like love for music, but he wasn't the most active on stage guy. He kind of...
Yeah,
Do you know
he's
what I
very
mean by
reserved
that?
on stage.
He's very reserved.
He doesn't perform to anywhere near the same extent Bruce, Freddie, Corey that we've spoken about.
Very different. But you can still obviously see that he cared so much about his performances. And he was really in the music when he performed. Like, he would sometimes just close his eyes and just play his guitar and sing. And what was that live performance we watched? Live at the Artist Den.
Yeah.
Really recommend that one, because I think you can see a piece of his personality there as well. Because it's very important to understand his songwriting, because his lyrics were very, very sad, mostly. It's like I was analysing some of his songs the other day. It was just some stuff that he doesn't say it, directly, but you can tell he was in pain, this guy, and he just wrote songs about it. I mean, they're great songs.
How would you describe his vocals? What stands out to you about his tone, about his...
I love his distortion. I think it's unique.
It's really good at long notes.
Raw emotion, holding the notes. He was really great technically. Like, technique was amazing as well. Because he played guitar as well.
Yeah, as well, yeah.
So, not all the time, but he did.
When it needed it, yeah.
So, it just says it all, really. And I just think, if you really want to understand Chris Cornell, and I'm only at the beginning of it, really, so I'm only at the beginning of understanding fully, because I think it's you can just kind of dig into it.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth reading his lyrics.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Does that add another level to the
absolutely. To sort of understanding his vocals as well.
Yeah.
The way he projected it.
What songs would you like to put into the playlist?
Oh my goodness, so many. But I'll try to narrow it down. I'll try, okay?
I'd like to put in Hands All Over by Soundgarden and Beyond the Wheel. I think those are phenomenal vocal performances.
I would go... I love Outshine, sorry. I know it's a very famous song, but I love it. Outshine is great. Holy Water, I love that one. I think it's brilliant. New Damage. It's just like, he screams that, powerful, but they're very short as well. So and it just grabs you.
Perfect.
I love that.
Excellent.
I want to mention two songs: "Show Me How to Live" and "I Am the Highway."
"Show Me How to Live" is
Perfect.
brilliant.
That'll be in there.
Because one thing to say about him is, I think when they put Audioslave together, that was a really, really big moment for rock and roll, because they are way more commercial than Soundgarden.
Yeah.
And Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Although loads of people hated that, said, guys, we want rock and roll to communicate with a lot of people. We want the genre itself to recycle itself and survive, right?
Yeah.
And what a good way to get into Soundgarden through Audioslave, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
You're just getting another set of fans.
They were much more commercial band in a certain way, but they're rock and roll as fuck. They're heavy,
I agree.
And if you listen to that, I think they released only 2 albums. Am I right?
I'm not sure. I haven't really
2 or 3 albums. They didn't do much, because then I think Rage Against the Machine got back together and he started his solo stuff, whatever. But they were so important for rock music, to sell millions of albums and communicate with a lot of new people and bring new audiences to rock and roll. So what a band!
Excellent. Felipe's number 1 top rock vocalist.
My number 1.
We'll do it better than last time.
I'll check my notes right now. That was decent. It's a guy called Robert Plant from a band called Led Zeppelin. If you guys ever heard of it.
Do you know Led Zeppelin, guys?
How predictable they're. Me saying
It doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter.
But I'll tell you why. And in this case, nothing to do with how good it is, technically or whatever. It's just the emotion. It's just the emotion. Because I think that's what, music's all about. How can you make people feel things? So when I listen to, and you can put that on the list, Go to California.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, wow. It does take you back to the 70s and you feel like you're a hippie, in a caravan or something like that. And also he reaches like a really high note and a really low note. I think it's like 2 octaves away, those notes, like insane.
He has a great range. I don't know how he sounds now. What he sounds like.
It still sounds good. I don't think he goes for all the high notes anymore.
Understandably.
But I saw him live again about, I don't know, probably 9 years ago, something like that. And he was spot on. It was good. Yeah. And the thing is, it's just the fact that my number one thing about him is the tempo, how he uses the rhythm, right?
Very unorthodox.
He sings, let's say Jimmy Page hits a chord and says, the vocals are starting now. Oh, he didn't. It started late. And you listen to Since I've Been Loving You, studio, and then listen to it live. Any of the live versions, they're all completely different.
Vocally, yeah.
The lyrics are the same, and that's about it.
Yeah. I think
even though the lyrics might change, what I mean? Like it's just, and they're all good.
I think the one that stands out for me most when I think of a typical Robert Plant vocal performance is from the first album, and that's called "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You." It's just so,
which is far from being his most correct performance.
Agreed, but it to me signified the start of this is Robert Plant the performer. And we always joke, me and Dash, whenever we listen to Zeppelin in the car, I'll do so if we do if we listen to Stairway to Heaven, I'll sing, I'll be driving, I'll go, and she's buying the stairway, just because he always does these things with his hands, but it's emotive. It's a performance that we talked about Bruce running across the stage. Plant doesn't do that. What he does do is just through hand movements, you can see how he wants to sing, what message he wants to put across. We can tell a lot with our hands,
He's got an amazing stage presence.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When he's on stage, you want to watch him. It's like, what he's going to do next.
Yeah.
It's exciting. He's a really exciting performer, although he doesn't do flips and jumps and runs, but you just want to really watch. And this stuff. I think it's so unique.
Yeah,
and he's just so fabulous. Like, as soon as he's on stage, he can just... he knows he's fabulous as well.
That's a good point. He has confidence in himself because he knows that he can deliver.
Well, they say that at some point, Peter Grant, who was Led Zeppelin's manager, and Jimmy Page considered to sack him after the first album. Because his live performance, because he didn't own the band, right? He was kind of hired or something like that, invited to be part of a band in which he wasn't in charge of. So he could be sacked if they wanted to. But they felt like he was a great singer, but he had no presence on stage. For the first tour, he wasn't comfortable. He wasn't and he just improved in that sense, and he started to, and to a certain point he became like the image of the band. From being a guy who wasn't comfortable on stage with a number one album, which was really hard position to be. You're number one, everyone loves your music, but you still can't lead the band on stage. So he evolved into that persona that is pretty much as Freddie Mercury in a complete different style. You are in charge of the crowd. You can lead the band and the crowd, and he does that really well. And it's again, listen to 10 Years Gone, and listen to, there's a song called Wonderful One. It's Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. It's such a beautiful ballad, and the way he sings, the way he goes from the way he holds the note for longer than you expected, and then he starts the next line later than he expected. How are you going to fit that in the rhythm? And it just works.
And he does it.
Yeah, he recorded an album with Alison Krauss, and
he's done 2 actually with her.
He's done 2 albums with her, and there's I was listening to his podcast, and she kind of criticized him, and because they were singing harmonies, and she said to him, "I'm kind of struggling to sing with you." I said, "Why?" Because of the rhythm, you keep changing it. So can you sing the same song twice in the same way? And he was like, I don't think I ever done that. And he had to learn how to repeat a melody in order to harmonize with someone. Yeah, that's
excellent.
how cool it is.
Any other songs for Plant's playlist?
So I said, Going to California, 10 Years Gone, wonderful one. Those are ballads. And then you said, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You.
Kashmir, I think the vocal
Kashmir.
performance of Kashmir is lovely.
Check Kashmir from Robin
The
and
Page
Plant.
and Plant one. Yeah, okay, I will,
yeah, Page and Plant.
Excellent.
What's the name of the album? No Quarter. That's the album. Yeah.
Okay, so from
Listen
that one,
to that,
Kashmir.
Also, one heavy one, Good Times, Bad Times.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's a
book
good
ones
track.
and that.
Yeah.
Excellent, so we come down to the final one. This is my top rock vocalist. Now, take me seriously, because when I said this to Dash and Felipe, there was a big laugh around, but I'll justify my reasons. My top rock vocalist is the one and only Jack Black. I stick by this. I'm fine with this. He is the singer of Tenacious D, if anyone doesn't know, and it's a jokey mock band. But what is not a joke is Jack Black's love and passion for heavy metal. You can tell this in multiple places. The movie, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. The movie, School of Rock.
I love that.
The albums of Tenacious D, there's a song called The Metal, which he says, grunge tried to kill the metal, but it failed. New Wave tried to destroy the metal, but it failed. He loves heavy metal music. Dio, as Felipe mentioned in that little anecdote earlier, Dio was invited to film one scene of the Tenacious D Pick of Destiny movie, and it was Jack Black's honour for Dio to record a song he'd written. Now, for Jack Black as a frontman and as a vocalist, I think he's criminally underrated as a vocalist because he's an actor. I think people don't take him seriously, but the first scene in School of Rock where he's playing with his band and he's pretending he's fucking around doing with the guitar knobs and saying, turn it up. And then he runs to the mic and belts out this backing vocal note that is like, oh my God. And even in this rest of School of Rock, when he performs his songs, when he's doing it to the class, he's like, in the end of time. His voice is just wonderful. And what cemented this for me is at the same weekend, I saw Soundgarden and Sabbath at Download. Tenacious D were on that bill, and I saw Tenacious D live. And this is now going a bit off the vocal side, but Jack Black, he's one of my favourite people ever because he is an A-list Hollywood celebrity who has no rules. You see all these people. Cameron Diaz buys a fur coat and the protesters are like, no to fur, no to fur. Yeah. And Cameron Diaz has to say, I'm sorry, I won't buy fur again. I saw a video in 2013 before Jack Black walked on stage at Download Festival of him smoking a spliff with the rest of the band. They smoke the spliff, he puts the spliff out, he comes on, he's high as fuck. His eyes are red and his eyes are squinting because he's just so high, and they come on and they play the set. How many Hollywood celebrities do you know can be caught on video smoking a spliff and then go and play a rock and roll gig? Jack Black is the man.
And still get roles in Hollywood after
yes,
doing
exactly, that. Yeah. Now back to the stuff in question. His vocals. I think he has a phenomenal vocal range.
He can't be cancelled.
No, you can't cancel Jack Black. Dash, bring us back to topic. How is he as a vocalist?
See, I don't think I know as much of Tenacious D stuff as you do, so I can't comment too much on that.
But you've seen School of Rock.
I love his personality. I think he's a great guy, and I think it's admirable how, like you said, his love for metal is just so great, like what he does.
Yeah.
I do think I can't take him seriously as a singer. I don't know why. I need to do my research.
It's because he's a comedy
actor. It's not
actor.
meant to be, is it?
Yeah, exactly. He's a comedy actor
so
with a part-time job as a rock and roller.
After watching School of Rock and Pick of Destiny,
I just think
I think he's a great performer, front man. I do.
He can sing, can't he?
He can sing.
It's not just...
No.
No, but he can, can't he?
Yeah. But I need to really listen to tell you. Yeah, I think he's got a really nice tone. By the way, your demonstration was really nice.
Thanks. You can hear it in the movies. In School of Rock, he sings loads of songs, even when he's just messing around doing the Deep Purple with the kids. Yeah, I know, a bit of a funny one, but I'll stick by it because he's the man.
It's good.
It's so good to have him on the list.
I think so, because whenever we publish the Long Live Rock and Roll book, Jack Black. I would
say one thing about him, which is the same thing I said about Order Slave. He was so important, in order to bring new audiences to rock music, you've got to go mainstream and communicate, and he did that so well. Like, School of Rock is a mainstream movie that everyone loves. Like, my mum, she's a school teacher. She was a school teacher for her whole life. She loves it. She's like, that guy can teach. That's how you teach. Yeah. You make people feel interested by the subject. You go through the history of the subject. And it's like, he's amazing. Like, I'm going to use some of his techniques to teach. And also, children like it. Adults like it. Yeah. People who are into rock and roll like it. People who don't listen to rock and roll like it. And it's all about his performance. Yeah. His vocal performance, his dancing, his weirdness.
And his this isn't acting, his true love for the music he's got to teach. And he loves that music when he teaches it.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's very charismatic.
Yeah.
It's like, it really buys your attention and you're like, oh, this is so cool. It's so admirable.
And when people say, too old for rock and roll kind of shit, he proves that you're never too old for rock and roll. Yeah. He's aging and he still behaves like a teenager when it comes to movies and music.
Yeah,
and isn't that one of the most important things about rock music? It makes you feel young. We're talking about all those guys, Steven Tyler, Jack Black, Dio was rocking to the last day of his life. The last picture of Dio, he's doing the metal horns, and it's
very ill.
Yeah, in bed, I'm dying, but I'm still rocking. You know what I mean? It's
Excellent. The Jack Black songs I'll put in. There's a song called The Metal. There's a song called Kickapoo. There's a song called. I'm not doing myself any favours in being taken seriously, am I? Then there's a song which I would actually recommend watching on YouTube instead, which is called Beelzebos, which is him and Kyle Gass from Tenacious D doing a rock-off with the Devil. And the Devil is played by none other than Mr. Dave Grohl. So I must recommend you go and watch that on YouTube. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for doing this vocalist thing. We've done our top 5 each. I think we've got a stunning array of vocals there. You're going to see in the playlist, guys. I mean, we've got a lot of songs, so make your way through.
Longest playlist ever.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I hope we enjoyed that. It was nice to sort of talk it through and sort of find out the reasons. We've all sat here saying, do you know what, I've got 2 ideas in mind, but I can't think of a third. And me and Felipe were chatting and saying, well, if you don't think if it's not because it's a band you like, think about the vocals that you heard that makes you feel something in the music, and we've all come to a great little list. So Dash, thank you so much, love, for joining us. Would you like to do yourself a little shout out, give your social medias out and everything?
Oh, well, it was really nice to chat, and I can chat about Vocalists for hours on end, as you probably could tell. So please, thank you so much for inviting me to do that.
That's why I have a channel about it.
Yes, I do. Well, I have a reaction channel on YouTube, Daria Vocalist. You can just find me there. And I listen to music and react to it and analyse it. So welcome. And thank you guys again for having me.
That's all right, no problem. As usual, guys, thank you for tuning into another episode of our podcast. Like I said, as business as usual, we are on Twitter and Instagram at longliveRNRpod. Oh, no, hold on. Felipe's asked me to do it differently now. We are... thank you for tuning in. Find us on the internet.
We're on the internet.
That's right? Yeah. We're not going specific anymore. We're on the internet, so find us there.
Long Live Rock and Roll Podcast. Go on the internet
podcast on
and
the
type
internet.
that. Because if you listen to this in 2045, maybe not even Google is around.
Maybe.
But,
we never know. Or
but the internet will be there, so check us on the internet.
Find us on the internet. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Thank you to Dash for being our fantastic guest. Felipe?
Well, keep on rocking, everyone.
And as usual, long live rock and roll.